My mom said it so casually that for a second I thought I'd misheard her. "We're broke," she said over the phone, "so we can't afford a family vacation this year." She didn't lower her voice. She didn't hesitate. She didn't even sound embarrassed. It came out the same way someone would say it might rain tomorrow, just a fact. Final, non-negotiable. I stood near the window of my small apartment, watching cars move slowly through traffic, and nodded even though she couldn't see me. "Oh," I said. "Okay." That word, okay, had become my shield over the years. I used it when I didn't want to argue, when I didn't want to seem ungrateful, when I didn't want to remind anyone that I was also part of the family. "We'll go another time," she added quickly, as if that softened the blow. "Your brother has responsibilities now. Kids change everything." Of course they do, I thought. After the call ended, I didn't feel angry. I felt small. That familiar shrinking sensation in my chest, like I was folding myself inward to take up less space in a family that already treated me like excess luggage. I told myself it didn't matter. I was an adult. Vacations were luxuries, not necessities. Plenty of people didn't travel. Plenty of people stayed home. Still, later that night, when I opened social media, the universe decided to test my self-control. There it was. A photo my sister-in-law had posted from the airport. Bright lights, smiling faces. A caption full of emojis and excitement. My brother stood beside her, arm around her shoulders, while their two kids grinned in front of a massive departure board. I stared at the screen. Then I swiped. Another photo, first-class seats, legroom that looked absurdly generous. Kids stretched out like royalty, headphones on, snacks arranged neatly on fold-down tables. I felt my throat tighten. I didn't comment. I didn't like the post. I didn't message anyone asking questions that I already knew the answers to. I closed the app and went to bed, telling myself not to read into it. But once you notice a crack, everything starts leaking through it. The following Sunday, we had dinner at my mom's house. The same dining table, the same uneven chairs, the same conversations recycled year after year. "We really wish we could have taken everyone," my mom said, cutting into her food. "But money is tight," my brother chuckled. "Yeah, not all of us can afford fancy trips." He said it lightly, like a joke. His wife laughed. The kids didn't even look up from their tablets. I smiled because that's what I'd been trained to do since childhood, smile, so no one feels uncomfortable. Later, while I was helping clear dishes, I leaned toward my mom. "You said you were broke," I said quietly. She froze for half a second, then sighed. "Don't start. You don't understand how expensive kids are." I wanted to say a lot of things. I wanted to ask how first class fit into the definition of broke. I wanted to ask why honesty seemed optional when it came to me. But I didn't. I let it go. Again. 2 weeks later, everything snapped into focus. I was traveling for work. Economy ticket, middle seat, knees pressed forward, shoulders tight. As I walked down the aisle, I glanced into the first-class cabin, not because I expected anything, but because old habits die hard. And then I stopped. There they were, my brother's kids, first row. Window and aisle, laughing, relaxed, comfortable. My sister-in-law noticed me first. Her smile was immediate and wide. "Oh, what a coincidence," she said. "I didn't know you were flying today." My brother leaned over, confused for a moment, then recognition hit. "Hey," he said casually. "Didn't expect to see you here." I nodded. "Yeah." That was all I could manage. I walked past them and sat in my seat, heart pounding harder than it should have. I stared straight ahead as the plane filled, replaying my mom's voice in my head. "We're broke. Not we're budgeting. Not we're being careful. We're broke." The flight attendant offered drinks. I declined. I didn't trust my hands not to shake. When the plane landed, my brother posted another photo. "First-class perks." The caption read. I muted the family group chat that night. The next few weeks passed in an uncomfortable quiet. My mom called less. My brother acted louder when we did speak, like confidence could drown out guilt. At another family gathering, he leaned toward me. "You've been quiet lately." "I've been listening," I said. He laughed. "Still upset about the vacation thing?" "I wasn't upset," I replied. "I was paying attention." That confused him. I could tell. Then my mom called again. "We need to talk," she said. Those 4 words had never meant anything good in our family. Your brother's under some pressure, she continued. Kids are expensive. Travel, school, activities, you understand. I waited. It would really help if you could contribute a little, she added carefully. I laughed. Out loud, I couldn't stop it. Name one time, I said calmly, when I was ever a priority. Silence. That night I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't send angry messages. I opened my laptop. Bank statements, transfers, messages. Years of quiet support, small sacrifices, favors that added up to a pattern so obvious it hurt to see. The truth settled slowly but firmly. They weren't broke. They never were. I was just convenient. And once that realization landed, something inside me changed permanently. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Every conversation I replayed in my head suddenly made sense. Every "we're struggling" comment. Every subtle reminder that my brother had kids and I didn't. Every time my needs were framed as optional, while his were treated as urgent. I hadn't been unlucky. I'd been designated, the reliable one, the flexible one, the one who wouldn't cause problems. For years, I'd worn that role like a badge of honor. Now it felt more like a leash. I didn't confront anyone right away. That surprised even me. Old me would have exploded or shut down. New me just observed, listened, took notes. When my mom called again a week later, I let it ring. When she texted, I replied hours later, politely, briefly. The dynamic shifted instantly. She wasn't used to waiting. At the next family dinner, I arrived late on purpose. Everyone was already seated. My brother was mid-story, animated as always, explaining how stressful travel had been with kids. First class was the only way, he said, shaking his head. Otherwise, it would have been chaos. I smiled to myself as I sat down. My mom glanced at me. You okay? You seem distant. I've just been busy, I said. Learning things. She frowned but didn't push. Dinner continued like nothing was wrong, but the tension was there. Thick, uncomfortable. My brother avoided my eyes. His wife kept glancing at her phone. Halfway through the meal, my mom cleared her throat. So, she said, forcing a casual tone. About helping out financially. I can't, I interrupted. The table went silent. You can't, she repeated, stunned. No, I said calmly. I won't. My brother scoffed. Wow, must be nice to just say no. I looked at him, really looked at him. At the confidence built on everyone else cushioning his fall. It is, I said. You should try it sometime. He laughed, but it came out sharp. You're being dramatic. No, I replied. I'm being accurate. My mom's face tightened. This isn't like you. That's the point. I left shortly after, heart pounding but spine straight. In the car, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. The fallout came fast. My mom called daily, sometimes crying, sometimes angry, sometimes pretending nothing had happened. You're tearing the family apart, she accused one night. I didn't, I said. I just stopped holding it together alone. My brother texted next. You've changed. You're selfish now. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. No, I've changed roles. That was when the real truth slipped out. He called me, voice low and irritated. You know Mom's been helping us, right? I froze. Helping how? With money, he said like it was obvious. For years. The room seemed to tilt. How much? I asked. He hesitated. Why does it matter? Because she told me you were broke, I said slowly. And then she asked me to help you. Silence. Then, that's between you and her. That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed every "we can't afford it" conversation, every guilt-laced request, every time I'd been told no while money quietly flowed in the other direction. So I did something I'd never done before. I asked questions. I requested bank statements from the joint account I shared with my mom. I went through old emails. I cross-referenced dates with trips, purchases, payments. The numbers were worse than I imagined. Thousands, then tens of thousands. Quiet transfers labeled family expenses. Money that had never been meant for me. I printed everything. 2 days later, I asked my mom to meet me. She arrived defensive, arms crossed. I don't know what you think you're doing. I know exactly what I'm doing, I said, laying the papers on the table between us. She glanced down, her face drained of color. You told me you were broke, I said, but you were paying for first-class flights. She swallowed. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. You don't have children, she snapped suddenly. You don't understand sacrifice. I laughed softly. I understand it perfectly. I just stopped volunteering. She cried then, real tears, guilt, fear, maybe regret. I never meant to hurt you, she said. I believe you, I replied. You just didn't mean to protect me either. When I stood to leave, she reached for my hand. Are you cutting us off? I paused. No, I'm cutting the pattern. The final blow came 2 weeks later. I was flying again for work. Different airline, same route. As I boarded, I glanced forward. First class. My brother's kids weren't there this time. Neither was he. When I landed, my phone buzzed. A text from my brother. Mom says you're not helping anymore. I typed back. Correct. So what are we supposed to do? I stared at the message, then put my phone away. For the first time in my life, their problems stayed theirs. Months passed. The family gatherings grew quieter, smaller, awkward. My brother sold the second car. The vacations stopped. The tone changed. No one laughed about money anymore. And me, I booked my own trip. Economy seat. Window this time. As the plane lifted, I looked out at the clouds and felt something unexpected. Peace, not revenge, not victory, just peace. Because sometimes the most powerful moment isn't when you confront people. It's when you stop being the resource they were quietly draining. And finally, for the first time, choose yourself.